So this month slows down. We've got Saturn and Mercury turning retrograde. We've got Mars and Ketu converging in Leo. We've got a full moon in Sagittarius. We've got a new moon in Cancer. So there's a lot going on, and I cover it all in this video. Because astrology is best understood through observation, also looked back in history to see when have some of these transits taken place before, so we get a better idea of what to expect. And then after the overview, be sure to check your ascendant in the jump links below, because I do a complete breakdown for your sign for the month of July. This is my most detailed video yet, so stick around, grab your tea, grab your planner, and we're going to jump right in. All right, so we're going to start with Venus moving into Taurus, and this actually took place June 29th, and this is a very strong placement because Venus is in her own sign. This is very beneficial to pretty much everyone, and there's only a few houses that she doesn't really like. But you can expect this feel-good boost in your relationships because Venus represents relationships, your happiness levels, just a general sense of ease in that area of life where Taurus is in your chart. So because Venus is so strong in her own sign, she does prefer some specific houses, but the ones she's not really keen on are houses 6, 7, and 10. But because she's in her own sign, it's still going to be very strong. Now, this is a Mahapurusha yoga being created for some of the ascendants. And so if you have Taurus in houses 1, 4, 7, or 10, this is a more highly auspicious transit for you. All right, now let's go ahead and get into July. From July 1st through the 4th, we have a moon in Virgo, and this is going to be opposing Saturn. So this stretch could feel a bit tense, a bit heavy, especially if you're someone who tends to worry a lot or wants to try to control everything. So the moon in Virgo can put that focus on control and order. And then Saturn in Pisces is really trying to slow things down, brings delay, brings that pressure. And so that Virgo Pisces axis is really all about control and surrender. It's about that control what you can, release what you can't, right? Because that resistance is only going to get stronger the more you try to control something that you cannot. So there's that balance of learning when to let go and when to hold on. So if you're trying to force outcomes or resist that natural flow, you may feel that extra tension during these days. And the key here is just to lean into having more patience and trying not to achieve that perfection. Virgo is all about perfection. Now on July 4th, we have a Neptune going retrograde, and this is important because Neptune is very closely conjunct Saturn. So this will be, even though it's not in traditional Vedic astrology, Neptune is heavily influencing Saturn right now. Now on this same day, July 4th, we also have a Venus-Uranus conjunction at 5 degrees of Critica. So this is a very unique day because not only was Neptune stationing to go retrograde, but there's this subtle shift inward, right, of illusions starting to dissolve in Pisces. There's hidden truths that can emerge over time because Pisces is that natural 12th house where we have those hidden secret things. So, and especially since Saturn is really close by. So this Venus and Uranus conjunction in Taurus is really about rebellion. It's about unexpected change. So because Venus represents relationships and love, we can kind of expect those situations in those areas of life. It's also, Taurus is also dealing with your resources, your values, your financial situation. So this energy can feel like a breakthrough or like maybe like a shakeup, especially around ownership or what you think you hold, what you think that you own. And Taurus is a fixed sign, so it's really tied to that stability piece, right? It doesn't really want to move around or change. And the second house deals with security and possessions. So if you look back in time when Venus and Uranus met in Taurus, this was all the way back in 1944. It was June 5th, 1944, and this was a very historic day. This was what was going to be D-Day for World War II. So this was when the U.S. forces took control of Rome after this really long, like 130-something day battle, and they seized control of this land. So you can see this theme of ownership taking this kind of breakthrough after this long battle, and that's the Venus-Uranus in Taurus energy there. So I thought that was really interesting. Then if we go even further back in time, we look at the year 1856, and this was May 28th, 1856. And again, we have this theme of taking control of land. And this was in the United States, and the U.S. was in the Battle of the Big Bend. And this is a really famous battle. It's in all your history books. And this was the battle between the United States, or the U.S. Army, with the Native Americans. I'm not a big history buff, so I was just looking this up, but this just goes to show that this claim of land, right, this conquering, this breakthrough, this rebellious nature of Venus and Taurus and Uranus, this ownership theme there. So that's something we can expect. Maybe not on the exact day, even though this did happen. These two events in history occurred when Venus and Uranus were exactly conjunct in the same degree. Now, if we look at July 6th of this year, we have a Saturn aspecting Venus. So Saturn casts a special aspect 3 places away from itself, 7 places away from itself, and 10 places away from itself. And the big planets do this. They have their special aspect. So July 6th, we have Saturn aspecting Venus at 7 degrees, and also Moon is debilitated in Scorpio this day. So Saturn's casting its full aspect onto Venus, and this is as he's stationing to go retrograde. So whenever Saturn is super slowed down before he turns retrograde, those energies are really intense, really powerful, and more so than usual. So that pressure, that restrictive feeling that Saturn gives. So Saturn also represents responsibility, and he's directly influencing the planet of pleasure and happiness, right? Venus, also the planet of our relationship. So this alignment and the days leading up to it can bring in tensions to your finances, your relationships, and anything really tied to your comfort, things that you reach out to be comforted with. It's also your comfort zone. So you may be pressured to step out of your comfort zone during this time with this Saturn-Venus aspect. So because the moon is also debilitated this day, the moon is our emotions, and in Scorpio, it feels the weakest. So this could be an intense or heavy day where emotions and feelings are harder to manage. And this can be around fears, because Scorpio deals with those themes. It's our fears, it's our insecurities. So because Venus is also our happiness, we have this really dark pressure, this heavy influence on that lighter part of our personality, part of our life. So this is a chance to really become more aware of what you may be clinging on to, what you may be really attached to in an unhealthy way, that could be hindering your growth, right? So looking back at the last time Saturn was in Pisces and was fully aspecting Venus in Taurus was in 1996, so April 2nd, 1996. And on that day, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down this amendment. It was called Amendment 2, and this was regarding something around the gay and lesbian civil rights. And so there was this pressure, right? So that deals with relationships. And there was this Saturnian pressure to create some sort of boundary or restriction. And what's interesting is that it didn't happen, right? The U.S. Supreme Court struck down that amendment that Colorado was trying to make. And so, again, I don't know all the details, but I just saw this in the news and noticed that it was this correlation between relationships and setting boundaries. And that's definitely what we have here with Saturn in Pisces and Venus in Taurus, and having that tight, full aspect of Saturn there. Now, moving on to July 10th, we have a full moon in Sagittarius in Purva Ashada Nakshatra. And this is actually going to take place later in the day, so I am using universal time. So July 10th at 21:26, I have all of mine in military time, so to speak, or the 24-hour clock. So this is going to be taking later in the day, depending on where you are in the world. So this full moon is all about reflecting on what you believe, your personal truth, and your spiritual path. It's a mindset that you use to guide your life. And with the moon in Sagittarius and the sun in Gemini, there is this spotlight on knowledge versus information, belief versus fact, right? So this is a time to think about the beliefs that you hold and which ones move you forward and which ones hold you back. So we're all limited by our knowledge, right? So if we don't know any better, there isn't much we can do other than learn and become educated, gather that knowledge, which eventually becomes wisdom, and then we operate based on that. And so this axis of Sagittarius and Gemini is about that understanding and knowledge, taking in information and then testing it, and, saying, hey, does this match up with what I believe, or am I willing to believe something else? And that's what this axis is really about, is that knowledge, that understanding. And, we're only operating based on the best of our knowledge, right? So have you ever seen something before and thought, man, how come I didn't think about that before? Why did I never think about that? But that doesn't matter, because once you see it, then you've unlocked it. And that's what the Sagittarius Gemini axis is. So we're having that full moon there, and full moons are always a time to reflect, right? So even if it's something simple, some sort of knowledge that is a guiding light in your life, whether you're conscious or unconscious of it, you're going to act based on that knowledge. And so being actively aware of something is much more preferred than having that subconscious actions, that almost reactive state. Now, Purva Ashada Nakshatra is ruled by Venus and symbolized by the cosmic waters. So there's this call to want to purify your intentions and reconnect really to what inspires you to grow. Sagittarius is kind of this adventurous sign. It's about exploration and looking for, that optimistic and that hopeful space that comes after Scorpio. Scorpio is, where we're having those fears, where it's dark, it's hidden, it's unknown, it's transformative. And then we get out of Scorpio and go into Sagittarius, where there's this new land to explore, right? And the specific house that Sagittarius occupies in your chart will reveal where these reflections are of, looking at the information that you consume, which is Gemini, and what you actually take and hold on to and operate from as a belief system, which is Sagittarius. And interestingly enough, during this full moon, we have Jupiter opposing Sagittarius. So this really strengthens the situation. Whenever a planet is aspecting its own sign or in its own sign, it's very strong either way, right? So Jupiter is expanding those ideas in Gemini, and then it's aspecting that back to the full moon in Sagittarius. And so this will be a time to really reflect on that axis, reflect on those themes in your life. Now, on July 13th, we have Saturn stationing to go retrograde. And on this same day, around the next few days, there'll be a moon and Rahu opposing Mars. So these, from July 13th through July 15th, are going to feel unique. So Saturn officially begins his retrograde, and that means he's at a complete dead still stop. And usually that can make the days kind of feel like they're all blending together, right? It's if you've ever seen that movie Groundhog Day, it's like every day seems to be repeating itself. And really that's a sign that you're doing the right thing with Saturn, because everything just seems to be going the same. It's kind of humdrum and nothing really exciting is going on. So the energy is really concentrated, and this can be a time when the pressure can build up and things really feel like they're moving in slow motion almost. These effects of the Saturn retrograde is going to be different for everyone, and really depending on the house where Saturn is. So this is a time to slow down, reassess, and take responsibility for how you've been showing up in that area of life, that house where Saturn is. So yeah, Saturn's been restructuring the house that he's in right now. So once he goes retrograde, which happens every year, this is literally a time to slow down and reflect on especially those last few weeks. And I made a short video about Pisces, Saturn and Pisces back in March. It's only about 3 or 4 minutes long, so be sure to check that out after this video. So at the same time that Saturn is turning retrograde, the moon is with Rahu in Aquarius. So I've observed moon and Rahu transiting for a while now, and it always seems to kind of make things very interesting. And now we have this opposition where Mars is also there. So this can really impact our emotions. They could be erratic, impulsive, or more reactive, especially if you're already feeling uneasy. So this combination can be quite volatile with Mars and Ketu and then Moon and Rahu. So just, take extra care, try to avoid any unnecessary conflict. And, anytime there is a transit of the planets with the nodes, it's always a really karmic time. So just keep that in mind. So July 16th, we have Sun changing signs. It's going into Cancer. And this is also interesting because it's going to be opposing Pluto for the entire transit. So Pluto's been hanging out in Capricorn. It's going to be there for a while. So as Sun moves into Cancer, it's shifting that focus from the ideas and the quick thinking of Gemini into a more slowed down, internalized, emotional. The fourth house, Cancer, deals with security and home life. And it's really the ways that we nurture and care about ourselves and care about the things that we love. It's what we connect to our heart. So Cancer opposing Pluto could bring some themes of power struggle, some control issues, and could also bring up a bit of drama. So just keep that in mind. Pluto in Capricorn really brings tension through major change, through that transformation. And it does deal with things like control and public structures like authority, government in Capricorn. So while the Sun in Cancer is highlighting your personal space and inner world, we've got this opposition activated between Cancer and Capricorn. So this is dealing with your private life versus your public image. This is your home versus your career. So you might feel torn between what brings you comfort and what's being expected of you, especially while Pluto is really shaking things up in Capricorn, as it's been for quite a while now. On July 18th, we have Mercury turning retrograde, and it'll turn retrograde in Cancer. So at this time, Mercury has already passed the sun, but then it turns retrograde, so it's going to start moving back towards the sun. And whenever a planet gets close to the sun, it's combust, and this is called cazimi. And so on July 18th, Mercury turns retrograde, but then will be fully combust on July 30th. So there'll be a couple of weeks there where the energies start to heat up. And really the fact that Mercury is also retrograde is, going to make that even more intense. And so it's really signaling this time that, your thoughts, your communications, and your decision making can feel foggy or like this up and down, this turbulent roller coaster, because that's what Cancer is. It's these emotional waters, right? It waxes and wanes. It's up and down. And Cancer really adds that sensitivity to our thoughts, our subjectivity, versus being objective and logical like Mercury likes to be. Mercury is a very neutral planet, but it's very impressionable. So wherever Mercury is, it takes on those characters and it takes on those traits and that nature of the planets it's with and the sign it's in, and any planets that's aspecting. So we've got that Pluto aspecting Mercury. So it's going to really affect our logic, our sense of reasoning. And you can imagine how this could, create issues if you're debating with someone or if you're trying to communicate something in a clear way, and Mercury can really just kind of scatter that. So again, retrogrades are always about reviewing and rethinking. And so this could be more intense. There could be more intense, like emotional undercurrents with Cancer and the ruler of the ruler being Moon, right? Waxing and waning. So as Mercury approaches cazimi, or being combust, on July 30th, there is this window for clarity. So it could come out like a big aha moment. And what's interesting is that aha moment might come through a period of frustration at first, right? It's almost like you're working on something, you're trying to figure something out, and you're like, I just don't get it. And then you're like, oh, I understand it, but you have to get really frustrated first. That's kind of what this Mercury retrograde combust energy is going to be. Now, if we look at July 21st, we have Moon entering Mrigashira. So, Moon travels through almost every nakshatra each month. So this isn't really a big deal. But what's interesting is Mrigashira is ruled by Mars. So we have Moon with this Mars-Mercury energy. And then, even though, Mrigashira is first in Taurus and then it enters Gemini. So on this day, Moon is in Mrigashira and Taurus. But July 21st is when Mars and Ketu are exactly conjunct in Leo. And this seems like it's going to be really intense, right? I talked about this before in a previous video. Mars is action, Ketu is like inaction. And in Leo, this dharmic house, there's going to be this kind of misguided action, or not knowing how to act, or not knowing that our actions are right or wrong. And K2 adding in that element of withdrawal, right? Wanting to act but not wanting to act. And in Leo is a very fiery and is a fire element. And so this can be an intense combination that could bring, dramatic shifts, those sorts of things. See, Mars represents courage and conflict and physical energy, and Ketu is, withdrawn, it's detached, it wants to pursue spirituality versus the material physical world. So in the sign of Leo, Leo is ruled by the sun. And the sun represents authority and leadership, but it's also like personally in your chart, it's your legacy. The sun is your legacy. And so we're looking at legacy, power, creative expression, performance. So we've got Mars and Ketu here in Leo. So this alignment can bring potentially explosive events, and then also really karmic turning points. So I was trying to understand this transit, and I'm thinking, wow, Moon's moving into Mrigashira. This is intensifying it, right? This is going to add that emotional intensity because Mars is influencing Moon here. And Mrigashira is the nakshatra of searching, and it's restless. So I really feel like this is going to amplify those emotions. And with Leo being ruled by the sun, and sun right now or during this transit will be in Cancer, ruled by the moon. So there's this kind of energetic feedback loop between our intuition, our ego, and most importantly, if we look opposite to Leo right now is Rahu, right? Because Rahu is always attached to Ketu. So not only are we having this Mars-Ketu conjunction, we're having an exact Mars-Rahu opposition. And so really this is what's going to generate this erratic, kind of heated emotions, and they're really rooted in illusion, because that's what the nodes are. It's illusion and this intense desire for power. So looking back in time, when Mars and Ketu were exactly conjunct in Leo was back in 1970 on September 6th. And I wanted to get an idea of like what could possibly take place on these days. And of course, every chart's different. There's always other influences, but I felt like these, I have about 3 stories here for this day because they're all kind of tapping into this energy of Mars, which is, energy and courage, but also accidents. And Ketu is that withdrawal, but also indicates loss. And we've got the legacy of Leo, right? That energy of a kingdom in Leo. So in 1970, all on this same day, September 6th, 1970, there was the Italian Grand Prix, right? That race, big race, and there was a winner, naturally, right? Everyone wins. But just the day before, there was a tragic accident, and one of the top drivers was killed during the qualifying races. So here we have Mars, which is the karaka of sports, right? Like sports racing. And it takes courage to want to, get in those cars and drive really fast. But Mars also represents accidents. And then we have Ketu, which is that karmic element and indicates loss. So I found that very interesting that such a, event took place, and that doesn't happen often. So that was a really big turning point for that sport. Now, another example is in the music world. So the famous musician and guitarist Jimi Hendrix actually performed his last performance on this day. And just 12 days later, he passed away. He was very young. So his last appearance came under this Mars-Ketu conjunction. And this really shows that karmic impact of closing a chapter, but it also was the beginning of his legacy as a cultural icon. So I find that really interesting. And then one more example, on this same day, we had in India, the current president signed an executive order that ended a centuries-old system of what involved royal privileges for former princely rulers. And so the president ended that, right? He ended that privilege to the former rulers, right? So that's Leo, that's Ketu in Leo, and that's Mars taking action. So I thought that was also really interesting. It happened on the exact day that Mars and Ketu were conjunct. So all of these events really share a powerful theme of endings. So Mars and Ketu are now meeting again in Leo, and we might see some similar themes unfold on that collective level, the global level, or also in your personal chart. So there could be sudden exits, those karmic shifts, legacy defining moments. And so the houses where Leo and Aquarius sit in your chart will definitely provide more details on that. Now, on July 22nd through the 23rd, we have a Parivartana yoga between Moon and Mercury. So Moon will be a Gemini, Mercury will be in Cancer, although retrograde, and they're exchanging signs. They're in each other's signs. So this is called a Parivartana yoga, which is like a mutual exchange. And so it's creating this loop between our thoughts and our feelings, our memories, our messaging. Communication might feel more emotional than logical. And there could be some old thoughts or old conversations that resurface in your mind. And since Mercury is retrograde, it's not really the best time to initiate, but more to reflect and think, rewrite, reframe things in your mind. So that's going to be an interesting time. That's July 22nd through the 23rd. And then we move into the next 2 days, July 24th, 25th, and we have the new moon. It's a new moon in Cancer in Pushya Nakshatra. Sun's there. Mercury's there, and again, we are opposing Pluto. So this is going to affect this new moon cycle. So it's very emotionally charged, and Cancer is a sign deeply tied to our emotions, our memory, our nurturing, and the Nakshatra Pushya is all about nurturing. It's often associated with spiritual growth and care in that way. So this new cycle focuses around how we care for others, ourselves, how we protect what's sacred in our hearts, and what we're connecting to our hearts, how we protect that. So that's really important. But at the same time, we've got that opposition of Pluto. So this could bring in an unpredictable element dealing with control, with transformation, and you could be feeling that pull between your inner and outer world again. Because this axis, this Capricorn Cancer axis, is dealing with that balance. You're trying to balance that tension, that resistance between your home life and your public life. It's like, do they match up? Or what you're doing at home, does it match with how you're seen out in the world, your reputation? Right? It's that axis between those two things. So then we have July 26th, we have Venus changing signs. So Venus has been in Taurus this whole time and is going to enter into Gemini. It's going to be conjoined Jupiter. And so this is going to be interesting because Venus and Jupiter are both benefic planets. So you think, oh, this is great. Venus is all about happiness. Jupiter is all about hope and optimism. But in Vedic astrology, these two planets are contradictory. They're both gurus in their own right, but Jupiter wants meaning and spiritual growth, while Venus wants pleasure and harmony in the material world. So when they come together, and especially in Gemini, the sign of our mind, our thinking, this is, dealing with communication, media, and there can be an influx of messages debating these conflicting, ideas going on at this time, especially if we consider all the other transits that are taking place, the Mars Ketu, the Saturn Neptune, and then add that to this conflicting energy of Venus and Jupiter and Gemini. It's going to be pretty interesting, I think. So, and we're already kind of seeing this in the media. There's more polarization. There's, people are speaking out. There's a lot of kind of just one side or the other. A lot of exaggerated claims on, either side, depending on if you're on a side, if you even choose a side. All of this, will impact how this, plays out and how you experience it. But, Jupiter amplifies. So Jupiter is going to expand while Venus is kind of softening the situation. It's a bit more hesitant. It doesn't want to, fight and argue. So it's going to be quite a mix here. So I'm really curious to see, how conversations unfold, what things are said, and how things are debated. So we also have to remember Mercury is still in retrograde. So this, definitely adds to that. Now, July 28th, we have Mars entering Virgo. So Mars is out of the grasp of Rahu and Ketu. This is excellent. However, now we are going to be experiencing a Mars-Saturn opposition in the sky. So this is a completely different vibe here. So Virgo is an earth sign. It's all about precision. It's about analysis, practicality. It's ruled by Mercury, who is retrograde right now. So when the ruler is retrograde, you got to keep that in mind. So this shift turns that fiery ambition of Leo into a more focused action in Virgo. So Mars in Virgo can be very, very productive. It's working with your hands. It's, arguing smart. And it's about not stopping until the job is done. But we do have this modifying influence of Saturn and Neptune opposing in Pisces. So there could bring this dynamic tension of pressure and confusion to that Mars Virgo. So Saturn brings resistance and delay, Neptune's blurring the facts, right? And then Mars wants to progress, Mars wants to go. And you may feel caught between logic and intuition, right? Virgo, logic, Pisces, intuition. It's between what's real and what's imagined. So these oppositions can create some frustration in this sense, but it also can bring breakthroughs if you stay disciplined and focused on what can be done and not just trying to control every little aspect. So there needs to be that balance of surrender as well. And with Saturn in Pisces and now retrograde, there's going to be that pressure to do so. So if we look back in history, the last time Mars was in Virgo opposing Saturn in Pisces was back in 1997. And this is interesting because it was actually the Mars Pathfinder mission took place during this time. Now I'm looking at a broader window. This isn't an exact date, but this was when this transit occurred. And so what happened was NASA successfully landed a robot on Mars. So if you think about Mars being very technical, it also deals with computers, and Virgo being that precise, very detail that you need to do a space mission like this. So this was really a testament to some of that very careful planning, that data control, and that discipline, right? These are all signatures of Mars in Virgo, with that expansive control of Saturn opposing in Pisces. So very, very interesting. Now, on that same year, when this transit was taking place, there was kind of controversy. This conversation came about around looking at the long-term effects, the long-term health effects of atomic bomb testing. So that's what was going on back in the day. And so this conversation kind of, came into existence, and it happened during this Mars and Virgo, Saturn and Pisces. And so this is about challenging old ideas, right? Mars and Virgo, challenging, and asking those critical questions. And Saturn and Pisces was that part that was forcing that reflection on the hidden consequences, right? What does this atomic bomb testing do? How does it impact our health? And that's, Pisces is associated with the 12th house. So we've got that Virgo Pisces axis. That's the 6-12 axis. The 6th house is earth energy, Artha, it's physical, material. It's very surface level. While the 12th house is water. It's a moksha sign. It's where things are hidden and underneath, and it's where things lack boundaries. So you had this, this analyzing and this, trying to understand, Mars and Virgo, the effects of atomic bomb testing, something that was completely just, uncontrolled almost. There's just no boundaries there. And that's that Saturn and Pisces. So this current transit that we're going to have with Mars moving into Virgo could echo these same themes of conflict with power, the pressure to do the right thing. So we can look out for these things during this transit in global events or even just in your own life, and see how they mirror those similar patterns of challenge and reform, right? Challenge, Mars and Virgo, reform, Saturn and Pisces. So very interesting. All right, guys, if you've watched this whole overview, thank you so much. Please be sure to like and share. It really does help the channel grow and lets me know that you enjoy these kind of reports. So let me know in the comments what transit you're most interested in observing this month. And now I'm going to get into the ascendant report. So find your ascendant below. This is not your moon sign. This is not your sun sign. This is strictly your rising sign using Sidereal Vedic astrology. And I will see you in your sign. Okay, Aries ascendant. So on June 29th, Venus is going to enter into Taurus, your second house, and this is a great transit for your finances, and it's going to bring focus and intensity to your relationships, specifically around how you feel independent and what your expectations are to feel happy in relationships. So you can also enjoy good food at this time. You may have, sweeter speech and having, sweeter feelings of security through your relationships. You can feel more comforted through your relationships at this time. Then on July 10th, we have a full moon in Purva Ashada, Sagittarius, in your 9th house. So this is a very auspicious transit for you. This is connecting your heart to your beliefs, and this can be quite spiritual. It can bring feelings of peace and good luck. So this is very, very auspicious full moon for you. On July 16th, there is Sun moving into Cancer, your 4th house. So this month you may feel more inclined to express yourself at home. You could be more inspired at home and just happier in general in your home space. And if you have children who have moved out, they could come home during this time. And this is also an auspicious transit for your mother and just home life in general. So for those 30 days of Sun in Cancer, it's going to just really be all about home life. Now, on July 24th through the 25th, we have the new moon taking place in Cancer, your 4th house. So again, a lot of themes around home. This is a very strong moon in the 4th house. Moon loves to be there. And with it being your 4th house ruler, it gains even more strength. So this is a really good time for happiness in the home, mother having peace of mind, and Pluto's opposition could bring up themes of control. So just be mindful of that. Then July 26th, we have Venus going into Gemini, your 3rd house. This is a time to make financial connections and, connections with your relationships at this time. And you could get a boost of courage, a boost of ideas, and you may have more desire to learn something new, a new skill. Venus is bringing beauty into this area of your life. And so you could experience, just a general excitement or comfort and ease with communication and your ideas. So on July 28th, we've got Mars moving into Virgo, your 6th house. So Mars is your ruling planet, but it also rules the 8th house. And so wherever Mars transit, it can bring mixed results. So Mars is bringing action and drive into your house of hard work and health. And there could be a sudden shift in your daily routine or some kind of change in your health routine. Maybe you take on a new, eating habit or a new diet. And this is going to push you towards improvement of some kind, right? 8th house is always about transformation. And so you have your 8th house ruler going into the 6th. Excuse me. So that's your July. I hope you find that helpful. And thanks for watching. Taurus ascendant, welcome. June 29th, Venus is moving into your 1st house. And Venus rules your 1st and 6th house. So wherever Venus goes is always going to bring mixed results. So this transit really creates a powerful Mahapurusha yoga in your chart. So Venus is bringing beauty and ease into your daily routines. Your physical body will experience this, and you may be feeling more focused on your appearance, your looks, and your health at this time. So that's really the Venus energy in Taurus for you. Now, on July 10th, there is a full moon in Purva Ashada, Sagittarius. This is your 8th house. And for you, the full moon rules your 3rd house. So moon is the 3rd house ruler going into the 8th house of transformation, hidden knowledge, fears, emotional attachments. So this time could force you to reflect on what brings you fulfillment. You may feel uneasy or like something needs to give, like something needs to change. And the 8th house transit is always a perfect time to do that, to let go of those old feelings, those old attachments that just have run their course. They're no longer useful anymore. So if you have siblings, especially a sister or sisters, they could bring drama into your life at this time. And also be careful of accidents with your hands, like whacking your hand on the door, or if you are cutting vegetables or something like that, just be extra careful with the knives. So on July 16th, we have Sun moving into your 3rd house of Cancer, and Sun for you rules your 4th house. So we have the 4th house ruler going into the 3rd, and for the next 30 days, this is going to bring up themes of your home life, your personal space. It's going to really shine a light on your peace of mind, whether you have it or not, what's impacting your peace of mind. And it's also going to be around your communications. This is a great time to connect with your ideas and your thoughts, what you're learning, taking in new skills, how you understand the information that you consume. That's really what the third house is about. Now on July 24th through the 25th, we have a new moon in Pushya Cancer. So this is taking place in your third house. So moon rules your third house. It's going into your third house. So this is going to add intensity to what I was just saying earlier. There is a real focus on your self-effort during this time. Also with the sun in Cancer, there could be tensions with mom or some kind of ego-related issue with mom that might come up. So with new moons, you want to always set an intention. And for this one, for this new moon for you, this is going to be something that you want to have courage with, right? You want to set an intention that requires courage, emotional courage. And this is because you have the support from the universe to do so at this time. So make that wish. On July 26th, we have Venus going into Gemini, your second house of speech, wealth, values. So this could be a time where you acquire some debt, right? Because Venus rules your sixth house of debt and is going into your second house. You may come across an adversary that may be pretending to be your friend, but mostly this is going to be a focus on hard work, your daily routine, and really putting in the effort. So earning money may be slower during this time if you're experiencing that. And also Venus could make you feel a little unmotivated, especially since Jupiter is also here in Gemini. So on July 28th, you have Mars going into Virgo, your fifth house. So since Mars is the planet of action and courage and also rules over your seventh house of relationships and your 12th house of expenses, there's going to be themes that show up around how you have fun during this transit. So fifth house is the house of joy. It's about creative intelligence, but it's also where you have fun. And so with Mars being your seventh and 12th house ruler, you could travel. Right now, this could be a vacation where you travel to a foreign land with your spouse, or you could experience some sort of loss of control in a relationship. That's something to look out for. Or perhaps you learn how to let go where you normally try to control a situation. So those themes may show up. Mars energy wants to act and destroy, but it doesn't necessarily mean destroy in a bad sense. It just means like to get rid of, right? So just keep that in mind. Now, that's it for July. I hope you found this helpful, and thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Gemini Ascendant, welcome. We're going to start out with Venus going into your 12th house, and this takes place on June 29th. So Venus does pretty well in the 12th house because it's a natural affinity to Pisces, where Venus becomes exalted. And so Venus turns her dedication into devotion here. And this is usually through surrender or, relinquishing control, especially in a relationship. And it's about strengthening your devotion to your commitments. So 12th house transits always signal some kind of ending or the end of a longer cycle. So Venus here indicates something surrounding your relationship of some kind, some kind of desire that you were committed to or you no longer are. And because Venus is a benefic, this will bring ease and comfort to these endings, but it's going to be something related to a relationship of some kind. Now, on July 10th, there's a full moon in Purva Ashada Sagittarius. This is your 7th house, and your moon rules the 2nd house. So this full moon is the 2nd house going into the 7th. And this full moon is a time to reflect on the value that your commitments have, that they bring, especially your committed relationships. What kind of value are they bringing into your life? And if you have a spouse or business partner, there could be earnings and gains through them at this time. And you might find yourself having to make compromises with your speech or compromising with your values. So that's something to keep in mind. July 16th, Sun is moving into your second house of Cancer, and Sun is your third house ruler. So this is third house going into the second house. So the next 30 days is going to bring focus and awareness into your financial situation. So you could make money through something that takes courage. You could make money through a personal idea that you have. And communication and your skills and your talents come in really handy. They have a real potential for bringing in stability and wealth at this time. So Sun purifies wherever it transits, right? So the process could feel frustrating at times, but the best thing to do is just observe where you're resisting that change. Now, July 24th through the 25th, we have a new moon in Pushya Nakshatra in Cancer, your second house. And for you, moon rules your second house. So this is the second house ruler going into the second house. This is going to really just intensify those themes I was just talking about. And it's going to strengthen your focus on money and creating a stable and secure foundation for you and for your family. So you're going to want to set an intention to put forth that effort and have that courage to pursue your ideas and your special interests that will help you build that secure foundation. Now on July 26th, Venus goes into Gemini, your first house. So Venus is your 12th and 5th house ruler. So there's going to be some mixed results wherever Venus transits. So being in your first house, this is going to bring a boost to yourself, your physical body. Venus is going to boost what makes you feel happy, and then also what you need to let go of in order to feel happy and to have fun. Because that 12th house energy is also there with Venus. So it's going to bring focus to your appearance as well and your desire to feel comfortable. So you may seek out things that make you feel comfortable, but generally Venus in the first house is going to make you, pretty happy. Whatever the opposite of depression is, right? It's like just, nothing's really getting you down. That's what the effect of Venus in the first house can bring, can make you kind of feel carefree, and it's not so constricting. Now, there could be expenses related to luxury items, beauty, food, because you're, indulging in those things at that time. So you may also want to escape from all the work and you want to just have fun. That's what Venus is. Venus doesn't really want to work. So then on July 28th, we have Mars going into Virgo, your 4th house. And for you, Mars rules your 6th house and your 11th house. So going into the 4th house, this can be a time of taking action in the home. You're motivated to work from home, and this could bring in gains at this time. So it will take work, it will take effort. And so this kind of contradicts that Venus in the first house energy. So you could feel, conflicting energies, trying to balance that work with play. So that's it for you, Gemini. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Cancer Ascendant, welcome. On June 29th, Venus is transiting your 11th house of Taurus. So for you, Venus rules your 4th house and your 11th house. So this is a very beneficial time regarding your home life, your mother, your peace of mind, and the gains in these areas of life. So Venus will bring ease and comfort into your home. You may feel inclined to decorate or beautify your house or your personal space. You may want to take mom out for a makeover, or you can even make gains from property investment. So overall, this is an auspicious transit for you. And really just there's this theme of prospering from your home. That's the theme here. Now, on July 10th, there is a full moon in Sagittarius, your 6th house. So for you, moon is your ruling planet. So this is your full moon, Cancer. This is a time to connect with your emotions. How do you take care of yourself? How do you nurture the things that matter most to you? So health is really brought into focus at this time. You may want to, evaluate your daily routines. Full moons are about reflecting on these things. So reflecting on your health habits, your diet, the food that you're taking in, and also, not just physical health, but mental health as well. Making sure that you are, nurturing your physical and mental health during this time and reflecting on that. So being the 6th house, this could indicate some debts or challenges that arise, maybe with a coworker. So just keep that in mind. Now on July 16th, we have Sun going into Cancer, your 1st house. So for you, Sun rules the 2nd house. And these can bring themes of resources, food, money, family, into focus over the next 30 days. So Sun as your 2nd house ruler is really trying to purify how you create independence and security for yourself. So this transit really puts an awareness on how independent you are. Now on July 24th to the 25th, there's a new moon in Pushya, Cancer, in your 1st house. So again, kind of doubling down on these themes here. This new lunar cycle is going to really impact every area of your life. Whenever there's a 1st house transit, it's dealing with, new beginnings, but also just kind of impacts everything that you're doing. So this could be you, this could be your relationships, this could be your career, this could be your home life. And it's in Cancer, so it's about how you take care, how you nurture these things, how you protect the things that you care about and love. And this new moon is about setting intentions that require strength and focus to really kickstart this new phase in your life, right? You're having a new moon cycle in your 1st house, and this won't happen again for another year. So this is really kicking off a new cycle for you. So just keep that in mind. Now, July 26th, Venus enters Gemini, and this is your 12th house. So you have your 4th and 11th house ruler, Venus, going into the 12th house. And, this could bring you inward. It can make you want to escape from the busyness of the world, may make you want to retreat into solitude. And it could also bring in expenses that are home related. You may want to, aim for a more improved situation in the home life. So this is a great time for letting go. 12th house transits are always about an ending of some kind. And since this is Venus, it will involve a relationship or a commitment that you have in love or business or regarding your happiness. So letting go, however, will bring you big wins because you have that 11th house connection there with Venus. So it's going to bring you big wins. It's going to bring you peace of mind. But that process of letting go could feel challenging, but just know you have that success on the other side. Now, July 28th, Mars goes into Virgo, your 3rd house of courage, self-effort, learning. So this is a very creative and expressive time for you. So especially through your career, and actions that you take during this transit will take courage, will take effort, and they're going to test your communication skills. So your talents really come in handy during this transit, and they can bring you feelings of success, feelings of achievement, and joy. That's the 10th and 5th house, the 10th house of career, the 5th house of joy and happiness. So going into the 3rd, it's really going to activate that work and creative work element for you. Now, that's it for July. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Leo Ascendant, welcome. On June 29th, Venus enters Taurus, your 10th house of career, your public space, your achievement. So your career and actions that you take are going to require courage and effort at this time, but Venus is going to make it feel like a breeze. So your skills and your reputation are really being utilized during this transit. So on July 10th, full moon in Sagittarius, your 5th house. Now for you, the moon rules your 12th house. So it's going into the 5th. So there could be expenses with your children, expenses through romantic adventures, or just having fun in general. They could be bring in expenses at this time. So you could also find your joy through solitude or through more spiritual pursuits at this time. So there is a theme of escaping that really sounds pleasing to you right now, and letting loose, trying not to control everything. That can really bring some relief as well. So reflecting on where you need to loosen those boundaries around how you get to have fun and just enjoy life. That's what this full moon is about, reflecting on those things. Now on July 16th, Sun enters Cancer, your 12th house. And for you, Sun is your ruling planet. So this is really carrying over those energies of the full moon into the next 30 days. So while Sun, your first house ruler, is in your 12th, it's going to kind of mimic that full moon energy. So this is a time to just step back from the public eye and really focus on your spiritual connection and not so much of the material world of desire and ambition. And this is a time to reflect and recoup some energy here. 12th house transits, they always represent some kind of ending. And with this being your ruling planet, there is a bigger cycle that is part of your soul journey that's wrapping up. So think about that. Keep that in mind. Observe where you are resisting change, right? So is something, thinking about whether something is helping or hindering you, in this 12th house cycle, something's wrapping up, something's coming to an end, and you probably already know what I'm talking about. And if not, then that's excellent. Use this time for relaxation, use it as an excuse to, not be ambitious or trying to pursue anything at this time. Now, July 24th is going to be the new moon in Cancer, your 12th house. So this new lunar cycle is kind of forcing you to double down on that retreating, going into that state of reflection, meditation, solitude. There is an ending to a bigger cycle taking place, and this is a time to set intentions that allow you to go where you're needed to go in order to make room for that new chapter, right? You got that first house transit coming after this, and so this is really a time to kind of just clean house. Now on July 26th, you have Venus going into Gemini. This is your 11th house of goals and gains and success. And this is a very auspicious time. So this is going to be great for your career and basically just enjoying your work in your career, enjoying being in public. Your ideas, your talents, your skills come into play. They're going to bring success, comfort, and ease. That's what Venus does. So enjoy this time. You've really earned it. On July 28th, Mars is going into Virgo, your 2nd house. So Mars is your 4th and 9th house ruler, going into the 2nd house. So this is a time to take action around your finances, how you acquire independence and security in life. Mars is really providing the energy for you to do that right now. It's giving you that energy and drive to build financial wealth. And as your fourth house ruler, it's bringing wealth through property, through vehicles, through luxury conveyances. So while as your ninth house ruler, it's bringing in wisdom and good luck in order to make that money and focus on bringing value into your life that's long lasting. That's what the second house is all about. And so Mars can create some tension in the family, being in the second house. It could affect your speech, make it more harsh or critical. So be mindful of that, but be careful not to be impulsive with your resources. So Mars is fire energy. It can burn things up. It's like that saying, you have a money burning a hole in your pocket, right? So, but other than that, this transit is very positive for you regarding wealth. So that's it. That's your July forecast. I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Virgo ascendant, welcome. June 29th, Venus enters your ninth house of Taurus. And for you, Venus rules your second house and ninth house. So this Venus transit is very auspicious. It's giving you a boost of ease and comfort, good luck and fortune. And this actually creates a Dana yoga, which is a wealth yoga. And this transit is great for bringing in money, resources, and overall benefits to your financial area of life. So this is really good. Now on July 10th, full moon in Sagittarius is taking place in your fourth house. So for you, the moon is your 11th house ruler going into the fourth house. So this is a time to reflect on your achievements, your goals, your aspirations, that bring you peace of mind. That's the important part. So this is a very auspicious time for your home life, your personal life. It's a great transit for your mother. And overall, it brings success into your heart and into your home. So this is very good. On July 16th, Sun enters Cancer, your 11th house. So for you, Sun is your 12th house ruler going into the 11th house. And so over the next 30 days, there could be a loss of gains. There could be some expenses related to your eldest sibling or related to your friend group, your social circles. If you're in a club or organization, there could be expenses. So this is not a really good time to invest. The sun purifies wherever it transits. And so this transit's bringing focus and awareness around your goals and what you aspire to achieve in this life. So there could be friendships that outlive their usefulness at this time. The 12th house always brings some kind of ending or loss or the end of a cycle to the house that it's transiting. So just keep that in mind. Now on July 24th through the 25th, we have a new moon in Pushya Nakshatra in Cancer. So moon for you is your 11th house ruler going into the 11th house. So this is a new cycle that's going to be about setting intentions for achieving your goals, making new friends, networking, joining a new social group that will help you to achieve your goals. So this is the planet of gain, right? 11th house ruler in the house of gains. So make a wish to win big during this new moon. On July 26th, Venus goes into Gemini, your 10th house. So Venus again rules your 2nd and 9th house going into your 10th house. This is excellent. This is a very lucky and fortunate transit. And again, it's activating themes of money and achievement. So this is good luck and fortune and resources in your home space. So you can make good money at this time. You may travel for work. You may need to use your voice to speak up at work, or you may find yourself writing more or even teaching or training someone in your career or related to your career. So that's something to think about. On July 28th, Mars is entering into Virgo, your 1st house. So Mars for you rules your 3rd and 8th house. And so this is a time to take action, and Mars is bringing both courage and sudden change into your life. So there will be a need to balance what you control and what you let be, right? So notice, where are you resisting change, and see if it's worth letting go in order to experience that bit of freedom that you're missing, right? Now, that's it for July. That's all your transits. I hope this was helpful, and I appreciate you watching. So I will see you in the next video. Libra Ascendant, welcome. June 29th, Venus enters your 8th house of transformation, hidden knowledge, fears. And Venus for you is your 1st house ruler, but it also rules your 8th house. So it's going to bring mixed results wherever Venus transits. But overall, Venus is bringing ease and comfort to your ability to transform your fears into a productive and valuable sense of security. So as a Libra ascendant, you are probably very familiar with change through uncertainty, right? Venus, your ruling planet, also ruling your 8th, and it's in Taurus, opposing your 2nd house of wealth, and transforming how you look at money and how the things that you have and acquire, how they're bringing value into your life. Now, July 10th, there is a full moon in Sagittarius, Purva Ashada. This is your 3rd house. And for you, moon is your 10th house ruler. So this is a time to reflect on your skills, your talents, your courage to show up and perform, but especially in your career. And there's going to be new information, taking what you learn, or there's going to be some new information that's going to test your beliefs. And this full moon is a time to reflect on what truthful knowledge you have at your expense, and what will fuel your efforts and fuel that courage that you need to take in your career. Now, on July 16th, Sun is in Cancer, your 10th house. So for you, Sun is your 11th house ruler. So for the next 30 days, there will be a focus on your career, and specifically your achievements and success in your career and public life. So this is a great transit for getting a promotion or getting recognized at work. Now, July 24th, there is a new moon in Cancer in your 10th house. And so this is a 28-day cycle with that continued focus on your career. It's a great time to set intentions regarding your profession, your career, and you want to set intentions regarding that area of life, and make a wish to acquire some sort of authority in your public life, in your profession. Now, July 26th, Venus goes into Gemini, your 9th house. So for you, Venus is your 1st and 8th house ruler, going into the 9th house of higher learning, good luck, beliefs. And so this transit can be mixed because your 1st house ruler in the 9th is very auspicious, and it's beneficial to your life in general, your physical body. There's good luck and fortune. However, since the 9th house indicates father, it could bring challenges because Venus is also your 8th house ruler. So there could be some potential for some kind of hidden or occult knowledge that is going to influence your perspective, your beliefs, but they may also bring in prosperity. So it's kind of this unique blend here. Now, on July 28th, Mars enters Virgo, your 12th house, and Mars for you rules your 2nd and 7th house. So the 12th house transits always bring on some kind of ending or closing out of a cycle. And since this is Mars, it deals with taking action through some sort of destruction. And this is the nature of Mars, but not necessarily a bad thing. So this could be the destruction of old values and desires that no longer serve your growth. and it's a time to have courage to rid them from your life altogether. And since the second house deals with habits and attachments, anything that is no longer helpful can be easily discarded with this transit. So Mars as your seventh house ruler indicates relationships, your spouse, your commitments, and going into the 12th house can deal with expenses or a loss of some kind, isolation. So the 12th house is also a spiritual house. So your spouse may pursue a more spiritual path at this time, or the relationships that you're in, you may see that. So that's it. That's your July forecast. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found this helpful. I'll see you in the next video. Scorpio ascendant, welcome. June 29th, Venus enters your 7th house of partnerships, relationships, commitment, compromise. So this is a great beneficial transit for your marriage, your spouse, your committed partners, whether it's in love or in business. And it's also a great time for business, for trading, commerce, sales. Venus is going to bring ease and comfort into your relationships and your ability to compromise with others. Now, ironically, the 7th house really isn't the favorite for Venus, but because this is in her own sign, kind of negates that. So it's not really an issue. But generally the idea is in the 7th house, because Venus is the karaka of the 7th house, it can bring intensity. It can kind of bring too much of something. So that's something to look out for. Now, July 10th, there's a full moon in Purva Ashada Sagittarius in your 2nd house. So for you, the moon rules your 9th house. So this is a full moon to reflect on your independence, how you build wealth. And moon as your 9th house in your 2nd is a great combination for finances, for income. So this full moon really brings luck and good fortune into your house of money, family, and values. Now, July 16th, Cancer, the sun goes into Cancer, which is your 9th house. And for you, sun is your 10th house ruler. So we've got the 10th house ruler going into the 9th house. So for the next 30 days, sun's going to bring that focus and awareness to these themes in your life. Sun as your 10th house ruler deals with your career, the actions you take in your world. It's your reputation, it's your karma. And going into your 9th house of higher learning, wisdom, knowledge. This is also a very auspicious time for your father. It can indicate success for him, and you may also travel for work at this time. Now, on July 24th, there's a new moon in Pushya Cancer. This is your 9th house. So this new moon cycle is very auspicious. The 9th house is the luckiest house in the chart, and it gives good fortune, and this is through knowledge and wisdom. So this is a great time to reflect on what you believe, your beliefs, your outlook, in the way that, the outlook on life and how it shapes your beliefs. So the 9th house is a very dharmic transit. So this can bring focus to what brings meaning to your life, what brings you fulfillment. It's almost like this activation of destiny. Now, July 26th is Venus going into Gemini, your 8th house. So for you, Venus is your 12th and 7th house ruler. So this could be a challenging transit for your relationships. Venus as ruler of the 12th house of loss going into your 8th house of sudden transformation. This could indicate a shift in relationship or a partner or spouse or business. So we have July 28th, Mars goes into your 11th house of Virgo. And for you, Mars is your 1st house ruler and rules your 6th house. So there's always some sort of a mixed result with Mars transiting. So Mars is the planet of action and courage and achieves success in the 11th house of goals and aspirations. So as your 1st house ruler, Mars is determined and challenges that uncertainty. But as the 6th house ruler, He brings challenges to achieving success. So this transit does give mixed results, but it all depends on how you approach life. It's all about your perspective. So if you externalize the issues that Mars brings, then you will have a harder time making the most of this transit. But if you focus that energy of Mars inward and put it towards your hard work and effort and make the necessary sacrifices, then this malefic planet will bring success and beneficial connections as well, social connections. So that's it. That's your July forecast. I hope you found this helpful, and thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Sagittarius ascendant, June 29th, Venus enters your 6th house of Taurus. So this is your house of health, hard work, and service. And this is not the best transit for Venus, but because Venus is the planet of our happiness, she wants comfort and ease, it's not very happy or comfortable in the 6th house of work and effort. But since your 6th house ruler is Venus, this is a familiar feeling for you. So this transit can actually bring focus and discipline in your own special way of bringing beauty into your daily life. Somehow you beautify those daily routines. And you may have a boosted interest in your health right now, health routines, daily routines, just being responsible, your daily duties. And because Venus rules your 6th house and is transiting the 6th, this does indicate the use of grace and charm to conquer your challenges, to conquer your enemies, and overcome those things with grace and charm. So on July 10th, there is a full moon in Purva Ashada Sagittarius. This is your 1st house. And for you, the moon rules your 8th house. So this is going to be a transformative full moon for you. It's a time to reflect on your life and embrace the necessary changes that you may be resisting. So Cancer as your 8th house indicates that your biggest growth in life comes through your emotions and your ability to make meaningful connections to the things you love. So use this full moon to reflect on that change that you may be resisting, and think about whether letting go will help or hinder your progress. So that's what this full moon is all about. Now, on July 16th, Sun is going to enter into Cancer. This is your 8th house. Sun for you rules your 9th house. So this is going to bring in themes of transformation. It's going to continue from that full moon. And for the next 30 days, luck isn't necessarily going to be on your side, and you really are going to have to look within to find what it is that needs to change in order for you to move on to the next chapter. So Sun in the 8th is purifying your fears and your emotional attachments that are no longer useful. So it may not feel good, it may not feel comfortable, and you're going to notice the more you resist, the more friction there is. So that's something to look for in this transit. Now on July 24th, there is a new moon in Pushya Cancer, your 8th house. So the moon for you is your 8th house ruler going into the 8th house. So again, we're doubling down on this transformative energy here. So this is a moksha house, so it indicates that need to release in order to make room for that new that's wanting to come in. And it's also a very spiritual house. So, and this is usually like through uncertainty comes knowledge. That's that 8th to 9th house transition there. So the 8th house is where your fears and insecurities live, but it's through letting them go that brings in that hope and wisdom into the 9th house. Now, on July 26th, Venus changes signs again. It goes into Gemini, your 7th house of partnerships, relationships, compromise. So relationships may experience some challenges with Venus as your 6th house ruler, but the results are mixed because Venus brings ease and comfort, while as the 11th house ruler brings gains of success. So there may be some bickering in your relationships. Remember that your hard work and efforts have the potential to bring great achievement, right? That's what you're activating when you embrace that Venus energy there. So on July 28th, Mars is going into Virgo, your 10th house. And for you, Mars rules your 5th and 12th house ruler. So Mars is the planet of action and courage. And as your 5th house ruler, it brings passion and drive into your career. With this 10th house transit, it's dealing with karma, your reputation. But Mars as the 12th house ruler is a bit less powerful as this house ruler, but it could indicate that there's expenses or possibly even a lack of recognition at work. So keep that in mind. And that's it. That's your July forecast. I hope you found this helpful. I really appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video. Capricorn ascendant, welcome. On June 29th, Venus enters your 5th house of Taurus. And for you, Venus is your 5th house ruler and your 10th house ruler. So this is a very beneficial and auspicious transit with Venus as the significator of your relationships, your love, your compromise. And it's going into the 5th house of creativity and joy. So if you have children, they will benefit from this transit. If you are single, then you may find love, may find a new romance. And with Venus as your 10th house ruler, there will be satisfaction and happiness. There'll be ease in your career at this time. So on July 10th, there is a full moon taking place in Purva Ashada Sagittarius in your 12th house. So for you, the moon rules your 7th house. So this is a 12th house transit, and they always indicate some sort of ending, some sort of closing out to a bigger cycle. And full moons are a time to reflect. So this is going to be a time to reflect on how you've been able to let go of old beliefs that you've held on to in your relationships. So there is something related to boundaries with your commitments, your partner in love or in business. And this is really not the best time to trade or do business, as the 12th house does indicate loss and expenses. Now on July 16th, Sun, your 8th house ruler, goes into Cancer, your 7th house. So change is coming to your commitments. This ties in with the recent full moon. So any fears and insecurities you have regarding relationships and making commitment, making compromise, those things are going to come up at this time. So if you have a spouse or a business partner, this could be challenging for them as well. So Sun is purifying, whatever house that it transits. So it's purifying your relationships through change, through uncertainty. Now, July 24th, there is a new moon in Pushya, Cancer, your 7th house. And for you, moon rules your 7th house. So this is a new lunar cycle to set an intention around your relationships, around your commitments. And there's a concentrated focus right now on relationships since moon rules the 7th and it's going into the 7th. So it could be a bit of intensity there, right? Like too much of relationship. But because moon rules your 7th, you are familiar with how commitments can waver. And ultimately, it's a lesson around your need to balance your ambitions and how you take care of yourself. That's something to keep in mind. Now, on July 26th, Venus changes signs again and is going into your 6th house of Gemini. So this is not a very comfortable position for Venus. She doesn't like being in the 6th house. So it could bring about some additional stress and challenges. But the 6th house, Venus in the 6th house, is going to push you to work and to put forth that effort, especially in your career. Relationships may feel challenged at this time, and everything just kind of feels like it's extra hard work. Even trying to have fun may feel like it's a lot of effort and work. But this is a short transit, so the best thing you can do is just keep that service mindset, right? Focus on other people rather than yourself. That's really going to help balance out those frustrations you may be feeling when it seems like nothing is working out or everything just feels like it's taking more effort than it should. So, helping others, focusing on your relationships and how you can benefit them will take away from that personal stress and worry that you may be feeling. Now on July 28th, Mars enters Virgo, your 9th house. So Mars for you rules your 4th and 11th house. So this is a time for action and courage, because that's what Mars represents. And as your 4th house ruler in the 9th, it's bringing big prosperity and luck into your home life, for your mother. And as the 11th house ruler, Mars in the 9th creates a wealth yoga. And so this is giving great gains through your wisdom and knowledge. So very auspicious transit for you with Mars going into your 9th house. And that's it. That's your July forecast. I hope you found this helpful. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video. Aquarius ascendant, welcome. Venus is going into your 4th house on June 29th, and this is the most favorite house of Venus. So this is highly auspicious transit, bringing luck and ease and comfort and happiness into your personal space, into your home life. So Venus gains the most directional strength in the 4th house, and also is ruling your 4th. So for you, Venus rules your 9th house as well, which is the luckiest house in the chart. So this is very, very powerful, very auspicious. Venus for you is a yoga karaka, meaning that because it rules a Kendra and a trinal house, it's creating a Raj yoga by just being itself. So this is one of the best transits that you can honestly get with house ruler in a house. So if you have planets in the 4th house or in the 10th house, they will benefit as well based on what they represent as a planet and what they represent as a house ruler. So look at your chart, see if you've got any planets there. This is a very auspicious time. So on July 10th, there is a full moon in Purva Ashada, Sagittarius. This is your 11th house. And for you, the full moon rules your 6th house. So this is a time to reflect on your goals and friendship circles. The full moon is ruler of your 6th, bringing work and challenges into your house of gains, your oldest sibling, your social circles. So reflecting on the challenges and obstacles that prevent your success will bring you insights into how you can overcome them during this full moon. So that's what you need to reflect on at this time. Now on July 16th, Sun is going into Cancer, your 6th house. So for you, Sun rules the 7th house, going into the 6th house. So relationships may bring challenges over the next 30 days. The Sun is purifying your house of health, your house of enemies, your house of hard work. So if you have a spouse, they may have to deal with a health issue at this time. And Pluto opposing the Sun in Capricorn will bring up concerns with control and power in your relationships, either romantic or professional. So keep that in mind. There can be big changes with sales and commerce if you're in business or own your own business, an entrepreneur. So on July 24th, there is a new moon in Pushya, Cancer, your 6th house. And for you, the new moon, or for you, the moon rules your 6th house. So this is a new lunar cycle that's all about, setting intentions around your health, around your daily schedule and routines, and even pets if you have them. 6th house represents pets. So the 6th house ruler in your 6th house is a very strong combination for overcoming challenges, for defeating your enemies, for winning debates, and, overcoming any obstacles that come your way. And this is achieved, of course, through consistency, through hard work, through your effort. And that's really what this new moon is about. Now, on July 26th, Venus is changing signs again, going into Gemini, your 5th house. So this is a very happy and auspicious transit. You're enjoying comfort and ease, luck, and good fortune in the realm of romance, of your children, of your creative expressions and pursuits. So, your creative expressions could come across as more graceful and charming at this time. And this is also a great time to let loose, have fun, enjoy life. You could, possibly find a new romance at this time. Fifth house will activate that. Venus is relationships. Now, on July 28th, Mars enters Virgo, your 8th house of transformation, hidden knowledge, fears, and Mars rules your 3rd and 10th house. So your skills, your reputation are going to go through some sort of transformation at this time. Now, Mars is the planet of action and courage and is going into your 8th house of hidden knowledge and experience. So what you discover during this time will enhance your skills, your self-effort, your public image, and your career. So that's it. That's your July forecast. I hope you find it helpful. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Pisces ascendant, welcome. On June 29th, Venus is entering your 3rd house of Taurus. And for you, Venus rules your 3rd and 8th house. So Venus is bringing ease and comfort into your house of skill, effort, and communication. So as a ruler of your 8th house in the 3rd, Venus is transforming your ideas, transforming your communications and your courage, your special interests. So on July 10th, there is a full moon in Purva Ashada Nakshatra, Sagittarius, in your 10th house. So this is dealing with the career, the public space, your reputation, and achievements. So this is a time to reflect on your career and the actions you take that are based on your beliefs. So as ruler of the 5th house, transiting the 10th house, this is a very creative and expressive time for your professional life, for your career. Now, on July 16th, Sun is going to enter Cancer, and this is your 5th house. And for you, Sun rules the 6th house. So the planet of hard work and effort is transiting your house of fun and creativity. So because this is the Sun, your 5th house is being purified through your diligence and consistency. So the 6th house can put a damper on your fun at this time, but really perspective is everything. So as a 6th house ruler can bring in possible debts and challenges to your creative spirit, or if you have children, they may become health focused or involved in volunteer work. Now on July 24th, there is a new moon in Pushya, Cancer. So this is your 5th house of creativity, children, romance. And this new lunar cycle brings focus to your 5th house, to this house of your imagination and your joy, how you like to have fun. So if you are looking for love, this is a very auspicious time for romance. And unless you have any negating factors in your chart, this is also a great time to invest with the 5th house ruler transiting the 5th house of speculation. So it enhances that aspect right now. On July 26th, Venus is going into Gemini, your 4th house. So Venus again rules your 3rd and 8th house. So Venus gains directional strength in the 4th house and brings comfort and ease into your home and private life. And as your 3rd house ruler, Venus can bring in a sweet communication and skills into your home, adding charm and grace. And there could even be food related or luxury items in the home, jewelry, nice clothes, those sorts of things can be brought up. And you may feel inspired to beautify your home, beautify your personal space. Communication with the mother is also beneficial at this time. And of course, Venus is also your 8th house ruler, so it could bring change through uncertainty wherever she travels. So watch out for sudden shifts or changes related to home matters. Now on July 28th, Mars is going into your 7th house of Virgo. And for you, Mars rules your 2nd and 9th house. It's one of your best planets. So Mars is the Mars is the planet of action and courage, and it's bringing these themes into your house of relationships, commitments. And Mars is also representing good luck and fortune for you as the 9th house ruler. So this is going to be good for business if you are an entrepreneur, business transactions, and it's going to be good for your relationships as well. And as the 2nd house ruler, Mars could indicate wealth and resources through your partnerships, through your commitments, through your compromises. So with that being said, I hope you have a great month. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.